श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रील
Jai.
प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai. So we finished, I think we finished chapter 7. We studied about Bharat Maharaj, right? Yeah. So, Komal, would you like to start chapter 8, please?
Mataji, I can. Bharata becomes a deer. Mataji, give me a second. I'll just. First rays appeared over the horizon. The music of chirping birds and buzzing cicadas filled the air. Bharata walked carefully to the river edge, filled his water pot, and returned to the undergrowth where he squatted to evacuate. Later, he bathed in the Gandaki river and sat on the bank chanting his mantras, beginning with Omkara, waiting for sunrise. A pregnant black doe timidly approached the opposite river bank and drank. Frequently, she lifted her head and glanced about. Her ears perked up. Suddenly, a terrible roar shattered the morning peace. A lion. Birds flew up, monkeys scrambled into the treetops. The doe jumped across the river. As her hooves hit the bank, a fawn dropped from her womb into the flowing water. Her heart pounding in fear, she bounded up the steep bank and collapsed in a cave where she died. Not far downstream, Bharata had just finished his morning meditation. He saw the hapless fawn struggling to keep its head above water. Throwing off his outer cloth, he waded in, grabbed the infant, and pulled it ashore. The calf shivered in his arms, nestling its nose against Bharata's neck and moaned. You poor thing, said Bharata. Have you lost your mother? Come on, I'll take you back to my ashram and warm you. He wrapped the fawn in his outer cloth and carried it back to his hermitage, where he placed it gently near the fire. He fetched it fresh grass and placed a leaf cup of water next to it. Then he sat and stroked it. You are safe now, little one. I will protect you from tigers and other wild animals. The fawn licked Bharata's face. For some time, Bharata comforted it, until slowly it gained strength and stood up shakily. When Bharata returned to the river to bathe in preparation for his noon worship, the fawn followed him. Bharata gathered kusha grass to use in his worship. When he went to collect fruits and flowers, the fawn nibbled on the grass. Bharata pushed it away. No, no. Now you have polluted the grass. I will have to collect more. The fawn lay down, its head on the ground, its eyes gazing up fearfully. Bharata knelt next to the fawn and stroked it. I'm sorry for shouting at you. You weren't to know. He kissed it and scratched behind its ear. Then he returned to the river, bathed again, and collected more grass, the fawn timidly following him. Finally, he performed his noon worship and closed his eyes to meditate on Krishna. The fawn sat nearby, its head on its front hooves, its eyes fixed on Bharata. After a short while, the deer staggered to its feet and slowly walked around Bharata, nudging him with its soft horns. Bharata laughed. You want to play, do you? Each day, the deer distracted Bharata from his worship. Bharata felt uneasy. He remembered how his spiritual master had instructed him never to neglect Vishnu's worship. Maybe he should abandon the deer now it could walk. After all, one cannot improve another's material condition. Everyone's material karma is fixed. Then the deer came and placed its head on Bharata's lap and looked up with its large, forlorn eyes. Bharata sighed. How could he abandon this poor infant? The Lord, in his form as time, had placed the deer in his care. It had no other relatives.
Pause. Don't we feel like this about our children sometimes? Or other relationships? We feel that we are supposed to control, we're supposed to fix the problems. So that's what is happening here. So it's a known feeling of savior syndrome sometimes. Oh, if I leave this person, if I don't take care, this person will be doomed and nobody will take care. There is a sense of, it's a kind of selfishness and egocentric thing, thinking that I can save, like that. It's like the thin line between wanting to be helpful and in service and then to fall into this kind of trap. Any other comments? Anybody has felt like that about some relationship?
Mataji, you were right. For kids, we want to, like, always think that we should be able to fix everything where we cannot act.
Mm. Yeah, we don't see them as souls who have their own karma, right? We want to, like, we think it's my baby and we still think it's a baby and it may be a teenager or, grown up. Yeah. Somebody else likes to read? Who's there? Ashka is there, Trikaya is there. You want to read? Kushbu, you're there?
Yes, Mataji.
You like to read?
Yes, Mataji. Our friends. If he did not play with it, it would be lonely. Bharata stroked the fawn. I am your brother, mother, and father now. You have taken full shelter of me, therefore I should not deny you my love, on the plea that you are hampering my spiritual life. Since you have put your faith in me, I must do all I can keep you safe and happy. It would be wrong of me to do otherwise. Even though I have renounced all worldly connection, I should not renounce compassion. A genuinely advanced transcendentalist feels for all living entities. Bharata gazed at the small animal, a pang of unease crossing his mind. Was he doing the right thing? Compassion means to elevate someone spiritually. This was a deer. It cannot practice spiritual life, and even if it were possible to elevate it spiritually, how could he help it if he fell from the spiritual path himself? He should at least consult with the great sages. Pulaha. The deer licked his face and bleated repeatedly, setting aside all caution. Bharata embraced the deer. I am prepared to neglect my own interest to protect one who has accepted my shelter. Bharata became obsessed with his role as the deer's protector and companion. They would stroll, bathe, and eat together. Each day, Bharata's affection for the deer increased. He never left the fawn unattended, fearing that wild dogs, jackals, tigers, or some other ferocious animal might attack it. Whenever he entered the forest to gather grass, wood, flowers, roots, or water, he always took the deer with him. The fawn would run in front of Bharat, leap in the air and dash back to him, licking Bharata's hand and feet. Bharata laughed, enjoying the fawns. Bharata loved enjoying the fawn's playful behavior. Sometimes it lay down in Bharata's path, looking up at him and doleful eyes and refusing to move. Bharata would squat and stroke it. Are you tired, little one? He would ask. Then he would lift the fawn, placing it over his shoulder and carry it the rest of the way to the hermitage. By the time they arrived home, the fawn was often asleep. Wishing not to disturb it, Bharata would sit down and let it finish its nap on his lap, or sometimes he would lie down and let the fawn sleep on his chest. Stroking it gently behind the ear, he would whisper, I love you. When the deer grew and became more independent, Bharata resumed his worship. He would sit before the sacrificial fire, chanting mantras as he offered oblations into the flame. Still, his mind was distracted, thinking constantly of the deer. At intervals, he would get up.
This is very much like any relationship where there is dependency, right? Dependency is always two-sided. Somebody may be practically dependent on us, like babies and children, but we are also dependent on them for emotional validation, or do we want them to pay attention? No, this is like little bit similar to children, attachment to children thing, but of course, deer is much more submissive than teenagers. Yeah. Okay. Any comments by mothers in the room? How does it feel?
Actually, feeling the too much attachment is always not good, even for the children. If you put the boundaries, then they will at least get freedom, and they will, explore. Otherwise, after some time, they will get suffocated.
True. Okay, Rajesh or Radhika Mataji, you want to continue reading a little bit? Wait, let's see, where did I stop? Yeah, at intervals, he would get up and with...
With an anxious heart, searched the nearby forest. Where are you, my love? When he found it nibbling on grass or flowers, he felt relieved. Dear one, may you always be happy. When he could not find it, he would rush frantically through the forest. My love, where are you? Where are you? Tears would stream down his face, wetting his chest. How can I live without you? One day, as he sat in meditation, the deer came and nudged him with his nose. Bharata pushed it away. Stop bothering me. Can't you see I am busy? The deer jumped back, then stood still, watching Bharata. After a while, it began grazing and wandering into the forest. After some time, Bharata realized the deer was not present. He stopped his meditation and stood up, calling for it, but it did not return. He punched his hand. Why had he so cruelly rejected the poor creature? He ran from his ashram and began searching the deer's favorite grazing spots. Hours passed as he frantically looked everywhere without success. In great anxiety, he returned to his hermitage and slumped down, his head in his hand. Bharata watched the sun setting, his face shriveled with anxiety. What if the deer was lying injured and helpless somewhere? Almost mad with worry, he lamented loudly, Oh, how unfortunate I am! I am so heartless. That poor deer put his faith in me, but I neglected him. Will he never return to me? He took several deep breaths, trying to calm his mind. Perhaps the Lord was protecting it from predators. There were so many in the deep forest. He let out an involuntary cry. How he longed to see it again, wandering in the meadows, nibbling grass. His heart palpitated.
Okay, let's pause here.
Palpitated.
So let's pause here. See, it may appear like suddenly we are reading this great emperor so attached to deer. It doesn't make sense in one sense, right? Why does he so much get attached? Why is he so worried? No, like that we think, but those of us who have ever been attached to somebody emotionally in any relationship will understand it's hard when you are in it to look at it from an objective perspective, because you're in the relationship. When you're in those emotions, it's difficult to separate yourself from those emotions. Especially women, we get very emotionally involved and entangled and enmeshed. It becomes very difficult to separate our emotions and actually see things for what they are rationally, logically. It's very difficult. So this emphasizes several points here, right? One point is that emotions are very important. If we get emotionally attached, emotional expectations, emotional enmeshment, then the pain and the suffering is more when things don't go our way, or we think that the child or the person we are in love with or we taking care is not safe, then we go crazy. Not because something is happening, not that something happened and then we are worried, but we think that something could happen. It's emotions, right? Emotions, even about our own lives. Sometimes we are, oh, what if that happens? Oh, what if this happens? There are three types of people in this world: optimists, pessimists, and opportunists. So Bharat Maharaj right now is being a pessimist. What if this happens? Oh, what if that happens? Momentarily, he's trying to be optimistic. Maybe the Lord is taking care. We are the same. Emotionally, we are all emotional beings, human beings. We're emotional in nature. So we're the same, right? And then the second point is one mistake or one thing he didn't do well is to surround himself with devotees. He was not surrounded by anybody else. He was trying to do alone. And then that's why the only living entity which was around was this deer. So he got attached to the deer. So similarly for us, sometimes we want break, we want space. But the risk is when our minds are freaking out from responsibility and burdens of duties, etc. If we think I want alone time, what do we watch or who do we associate with? Or alone, if we associate, we're associating with our own mind. It's very dangerous. So that's why we need friends who are, it's okay to chill, relax, but it needs to be with people that can protect us from going down the line like this, like becoming unnecessarily attached. Sometimes it's good to have friends where you can talk about your kids and your worries, so you can, because it's easier to preach or see, like if say my friend has two kids, I have the two kids, and then I'm worried about my kids and I'm like thinking of all things that could possibly go wrong. When I'm talking to her, she can see that I'm being irrational, I'm being overly emotional, and she can actually understand how she might sometimes do the same, but uplift me. And the same thing when she speaks, saying, oh, what if this happened? And she did that and she said this and she hates me. And I'm like, no, she doesn't hate you. You're imagining right now. You're being pessimistic right now. So it's good to have friends where we can open our minds in confidence and reveal our state of mind. I mean, personally, I couldn't live without that. Without that, just living with my own mind, I'd just go crazy. So I do have friends where I can reveal very openly, honestly, and they don't judge me and they understand that the mind has this side to it. Then we can remain sane. We can remain sane going forward. Otherwise, this mind can make us get attached to silly things and trivial things, and then make our life very meaningless or risky, even dangerous, even wasting a lot of time and energy. Any comments, questions about this? It's a very important point to associate with, to surround yourself with the shield of devotee sangha. Do you ever feel I want to run away somewhere and be alone? Yes, Trikaya. Or Khushbu, I don't know who that is.
Yes, Trikaya. Mataji, I was only thinking about this because my parents today they are going to Hyderabad for my mother's treatment. So I was thinking, what if this happened, that happened, and then exactly you said about these things that we don't have to be too attached, and I'll just pray, and then everything will be fine.
Yeah, chant instead of worrying. Chant for her. Chant around. Do something productive, positive. Read a chapter of Gita and dedicate it to her. Chant some rounds and dedicate it to her. Because tamas guna is to worry. Oh, what if this goes? Pessimism is tamas guna. Okay. And opportunistic is rajas guna. Opportunistic is like, oh, good, some people will say, oh, good, this person is gone. I don't have to be with somebody who's sick. I can forget about that and enjoy my own freedom or something. That's rajas guna. An optimist will say, okay, Krishna is going to protect, and let me chant, let me do something positive energy, let me send, like that. That's an opportunist. So Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. Tamagun is pessimism. Sulking and negativity and fear and guilt and shame and I can go on and on. I have a PhD in sulking in Tamas Guna. Then, yeah, Rajas is a little bit better than Tamas, actually. But still, Sattva is the best. Positive. Positive doesn't mean, hey, everything will work out as I want. That's more Rajaguna. Sattva Guna means it will be exactly what Krishna wants, and I will do my best right now, and I will not go into tamas. Any situation, this is applicable. Any situation. Because, see, it's normal and natural and human and necessary and good to be compassionate to people in our lives who may have issues. So, it's necessary. It's a healthy thing to feel sad if some family member is sick. But what you do about it can be in Rajas, Tamas, or Sattva. Okay, so we'll pause here, and he's still in this attached phase, and tomorrow we'll continue what is going to happen. Climax will happen tomorrow. Ta-da! Wait for the next episode of Bharat Maharaj, the great emperor, somehow becoming enmeshed. This little deer, little animal, it cannot speak, cannot do anything. In fact, it adds to the attachment that there is some helplessness. Same thing with us also, right? When somebody is sick in our family, there is helplessness and we feel more attached. If a kid is not doing well in school or is going a little mad or crazy or something, we become, the helplessness attracts our compassion more. Even abusive relationships are like that. Sometimes say abusive husband, he's abusive, but he also has some helplessness, some powerlessness. Maybe he's drunk in some cases, some karmic cases. He's a drunkard, and the woman feels sorry. She feels that only when he's drunk, he's abusive. Otherwise, I think maybe it's my fault. Maybe I should love him more. And then if in some other abusive cases, the man might have some generosity or he's doing some things which are nice, but still he's abusive, and the woman may justify and find reasons to say that, but this is maybe it's just a situational thing, and poor him, he's going through so much, he has so much responsibility, it's okay, he abused me, like there is a lot of justification that happens in situations like this. So this should be part of our education system. This is what we should learn in school and college. How to deal when we feel sad, and how to deal in relationships, how to deal when somebody is abusive, how to recognize All these things should be taught actually in school. School of life will teach us anyway. It may take decades. All right, so we have time for affirmation now. Rasastali Mataji, whenever you're ready, we can have a affirmation. Everybody can get into the mood before chanting of the Vishnu Sahasranam. Let's put our minds into hearing this affirmation with focus.
Yes, affirmation 10. I fully honor my sacred relationship with the holy names during japa. Chanting is a relationship, and we make it a mistake when we see it only as a process. Of course, chanting is one of the 9 processes of devotional service, but it is a mistake to treat chanting in a ritualistic way, as if the sense of chanting is to perfectly follow a specific set of external rituals, rules, or standards. When chanting japa or learning how to chant japa, it is common to try to understand japa in a more process oriented or mechanical way. How should we sit? What direction should we face? Is it okay to stand or walk? How do we pronounce the mantra perfectly? What is the ideal amount of time it should take to chant each round? These considerations are more mechanical or external. They can, of course, be helpful, but they can also distract us from the deeper mood of chanting if they become our main focus. If we focus too much on the mechanical side, thinking that the goal is to perfect the mechanics of japa, then we can lose touch with the reality that we have a relationship with the holy name, not with the process, and that this relationship continues to develop as we continue to chant. This affirmation is encouraging us to go deeper than the external process of chanting, to realize that chanting, although a process, it is essentially a relationship. Hare Krishna. Jai.